Hello and welcome to this special interview with Audrone Keinyte, the newly appointed Chief Executive of Bluebird Nordic and BBN Cargo Holding. Now, Audrone is not a stranger to aviation, as she brings to her new role the experience and expertise of over 20 years in the tourism and hospitality sector, also following her role as the former Chief Executive of Nova Tourist, a tour operator across the Baltic states. Now, today, Bluebird is a cargo airline based in Reykjavik, Iceland, specializing in ACMI leasing and air freight cargo services worldwide. And today we'll hear more from Audrone about her career and what she hopes to achieve as the new Chief Executive of Bluebird Nordic. Audrone, thank you for joining us here at AeroTime.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Now, let's start on that note where you're really not a stranger to aviation, given your history and experience in the tourism and hospitality sector. But just looking at how your career has now transitioned, it's almost like an organic step for you, or the perfect step. Also considering how the industry's recovery is well underway now and cargo is very active. Would you say that your transition into the cargo sector was the perfect step for you? And if so, why?
Yes, I can definitely say that now. Well, actually, after spending 15 years or more than 15 years in tourism industry, I felt that I have learned most of the parts or activities of this industry. I have got to know the key players of the industry. I have faced most of the challenges, including pandemic and other crises that have been happening during all those years. And finally, at a certain stage, I felt that I need more development, and I would be willing to move further. And aviation, which is also part of tourism, because traveling or tourism cannot exist without aviation. So aviation was kind of, I would say, natural and organic step. And especially after the pandemic, or coping with the pandemic, in my previous experience, in my previous job in Nova Tourist, I can truly say that I felt a very strong need for change, and I would say that this moment was the perfect time for the change, especially when the industry is recovering, when cargo air is on its heights, I would say, and by also having all the challenges and goals that the group, Avia Solutions Group, is providing, and the support of Avia Solutions Group, I would say that we are entering into a very interesting and very ambitious stage and era of Bluebird Nordic.
Now, that's very fascinating to hear how you've linked tourism and aviation, which they are very closely linked together. And, you know, just on that note, something we've focused on here at AeroTime, our Women in Aviation campaign, has given us the opportunity to recognize the contribution of female professionals across our industry. And you took up your new role at Bluebird about 3 months ago. And simultaneous to the announcement of your appointment, 3 female executives were also appointed for to lead major airlines in the industry. What impact did that news have for you? And what message do you think it sends to the industry about female professionals and their impact in our industry and the visibility of their leadership in our industry?
Yes, so first of all, I have to say it was a very strong fact and impact. And I feel and I felt very proud for the women, for myself and for the other colleagues in the industry. And I would say that it gives 2 major messages. First of all, it shows that there is more and more female leaders among the, let's say, in the world. And it really gives, I would say, maybe more opportunities for the women for the future, because still historically leadership was a little bit more associated with the men, and especially in the last few years we see a very, I would say, strong, intensive trend of having more women among the leaders worldwide in the public and in the private sectors. Second, and very important, aviation, which again, historically it was very much a male industry, and there are most probably a certain base for that. Aviation, especially if I compare with tourism, which both industries, they have some similarities, but still, tourism is more service industry, and that's why the major part of the employees is women, while aviation I see much more technical. It is a technical science, I would say. So that's why historically and up till now, the aviation professionals are very much male dominated. On the other hand, the fact that there are more and more women in aviation shows that there is a new trend, and the women are entering this industry, and they are entering it successfully. So that's why I'm really happy to hear this, and I think it will just, we will continue on the same track, even on a stronger maybe flow.
Now, I want to come back to, you mentioned about the similarities. Now, obviously, the tourism and hospitality sector is very closely linked with aviation, as you mentioned before. What are some of those similarities that you've seen now being on both sides of two sectors? Mm-hmm.
Before entering aviation, I already noticed, or I thought, or I had in my mind those similarities, and actually, once I entered, it was just proven by the reality. And by the practice. So first of all, both industries are very much dynamic. The situation from one day to another can change dramatically. They are very much dependent on a lot of global factors. And apart from the fact that they are very much dependent on the, let's say, global and objective factors that you cannot influence, still it is very much dependent on the people that are in the field, that are working in the company. So that's why I would say that most of the businesses can succeed if the people are very much dedicated, but especially in aviation and in tourism, you have to have very much dedicated, very much engaged people who would be on the loop 24/7. Then you can be sure that you don't miss the chance, the opportunity, or you don't, or you handle any kind of critical moments successfully. So this engagement, dedication of the employees of the industries, and follow-up of this very much dynamic environment, business environment, I would say this is one of the major similarities. Second one is the complexity. Both aviation and tourism, they have a lot of components. Tourism industry is consisting of hotels, transfers, aviation, other services, a lot of players which you have to combine into one so that you create the whole infrastructure and to make sure that you are providing with a good product. And then again, anything can happen at any moment, and the tourism is about the people, so that's why it needs, as I said, a full dedication of the people who are in the industry. Aviation is a bit different. It has a huge complexity of the field itself, of the product itself as well. It is just much more technical rather than the service and people that like in tourism. So this complexity of the industry, of the business, and of in general the whole industry as such, I would say it is maybe the second similarity. And the third is very international business environment. Both tourism and aviation, they are global businesses, and that's why any kind of partnerships, any kind of business opportunities, any kind of deals that you can make, you are always having the whole globe in front of you. Mm-hmm.
Now, you've mentioned the complexity of both sides and how on aviation it's got that technical aspect, while there's a more service focus on the tourism and hospitality side. But coming back on your role in Bluebird Nordic, tell us how your transition has been switching from tourism and hospitality to focus on air freight and air cargo.
I would say that before entering Bluebirds, I had the challenges that I saw were mainly related with the aviation field itself. So I would say technical part and the operational part. The industry or the business environment as such and the players of the industry were also maybe I'm not that much familiar, as I was in tourism industry, but still it was the easy part. It is the commercial. So this transition was, I would say that it required a big efforts from my side towards learning the technical and operational side of aviation. The rest was and is quite similar like in any other businesses. You have just to audit the processes, to audit the people you are having, and to see according to your vision how you can come to your goals. But to do that, I really needed to spend quite enough of time to learn aviation as such.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's take a look at the exciting expansion plan around Bluebird Nordic and its vision, the vision that's on the horizon. By 2024, you're looking to triple your current fleet and also develop some of your ACMI operations. Now, with all that in mind, with the expansion that's planned that we can see on the horizon, what challenges are you most looking forward to?
I would say that in general, the aviation business is always challenging. So the challenges you are always facing, and you have just to be very much prepared and very much proactive and very much, with all your homework done, so that to face those challenges successfully and to use them in all cases as opportunities. So in our case, I would say that the expansion of the business itself is quite a challenge, but on the other hand, it brings beautiful opportunities, and it brings the company and the Bluebird BBN Airlines in general to the other levels. So our aim is to grow by the fleet. As well, not only to add additional aircrafts to our existing fleet, which is mainly Boeing 737-400s, but also to renew it with the new generation aircrafts. So we are intensively adding Boeing 737-800s to our fleet. Just within this year, 2022, we are having from 8 to 10 aircrafts joining our fleet, the new generation aircrafts. Then for the upcoming years, we have many other really interesting and ambitious plans. During this process, I would say that, and I would not call it as a challenge, I would say that the most important is to be very well prepared in terms of your structures, in terms of your personnel, in terms of your processes, financial background, and everything for this fleet expansion. And once again, not to miss any chance and not to miss any opportunity. As well, I have to mention that apart from expanding our fleet, we are also looking for the possibilities to expand to the other markets, to the other countries, so to become even more global, worldwide ACMI provider, and to have more and stronger existence in the other regions and markets.
Now, you talked about being prepared and making the most of the opportunities in the market. So, and today we see that, the air cargo market has been very active in recent years, now alongside the recovery of commercial aviation and passenger traffic as well. And in that environment, what opportunities are there in the air freight market, and where do you see demand today?
Mm-hmm. I would say that since the pandemic, air cargo is having really very good years because fortunately and unfortunately, the crisis brings a lot of opportunities to the air cargo. Since the pandemic, because of the lockdowns, because of the disturbances in all those logistics chains, air cargo has been having a huge demand. Then once the pandemic was supposed to be over, we have the war, which again means that there are certain airspaces which are closed, that there is a number of aircrafts which are grounded and sanctioned, and that's why this huge demand for the air cargo continues, and it will continue for the several more years. Upcoming years. We still have the lockdown in China, which, most probably it will start being a little bit released, but again, it creates it creates a certain turbulence in the logistics chains, and that's why it brings even more demand, but also much more dynamics to the air cargo. On the other hand, I mean, we as a ACMI provider, our main clients are integrators and express carriers. So in those times when the e-commerce has been growing and it will continue growing, the demand of the express carriers or integrators will just grow, and there are very, I would say, optimistic forecasts for the future, which if we compare with the new aircraft's deliveries are much higher. So that's why I see it really a good chance now to expand the fleet with the existing aircrafts, and then in this way to increase our existence in the market and to strengthen our leadership position.
And just on that note, what do you hope to achieve in the short and long term as the new chief executive of Bluebird Nordic?
To conquer the world. And yes, if seriously, I would say that in the long term we are aiming to become a true leader of the air cargo, having our footprint in different regions and areas, having very well organized, efficient, professional and lean organization. And in the future, whatever other business opportunities can come, maybe passenger carrying the passengers or passenger operation or anything else. In a short term, of course, with the fleet expansion, with the expansion to the other markets, we have a lot of, let's say, organizational, structural, and business, let's say, business questions to be solved, handled, prepared, so that we could achieve our long-term goals.
Now, on a personal note, what are you most looking forward to as you step into this new field or new experience?
Mm-hmm. I think I would answer to this question by naming the reasons why I changed the industry after having this successful experience in my previous job in tourism industry. So my main personal goals were to learn, to grow professionally and personally, to start learning, to start meeting new people, to have big challenges, to cope with them, and to achieve to the really very successful results. So that's what I'm bringing with myself to this company and to Bluebird Nordic, and this is what I'm aiming to achieve personally and professionally.
And now here at AeroTime, we have the opportunity to recognize and support the roles and impact of female professionals across our industry, and also take our part and play our part in inspiring the next generation. Now, on that note, what advice or message would you share with women or with the next generation who are looking to get into aviation today?
I would just like to encourage them to strive for their goals or wishes, because and not to get somehow a bit scared or not to have doubts that this industry can welcome them perfectly. From my personal experience, I would say that even without having this deep aviation knowledge, the technical knowledge or operational knowledge, I was very much positively welcomed by my colleagues. I have learned, and I'm still learning a lot from them. And I would say that aviation, due to its complexity, it is not a one-man show. And you are always depending on the team, and the team needs you. So that's why there will always be a big support. Doesn't matter whether it's male or female, but there will always be a big support from the team if you are engaging them, if you are leading them, and I would just encourage to go for this challenge, because it's really a very exciting, very interesting industry.
Audrone, that brings us to the end of this AeroTime interview. I want to say thank you for joining us today, for sharing your story and journey with us, and your transition into leading Bluebird Nordic as its chief executive. I'm sure that our audience today will be inspired by your example, and I'm also sure that we will see more women rise into leadership positions across our industry.
Thank you very much, Michael. It was my pleasure.
Pleasure, thank you. And that brings us to the end of this AeroTime interview, but stay tuned for more content coming soon across our Women in Aviation campaign. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Jonga, and you've been watching AeroTime. Goodbye.